At 6, a Bay Area man gets a surprise phone call from the director of the DMV. She tells him his new license is on its way. KPIX 5's Maria Medina on the intervention from the top to expedite one man's real ID driver's license. Maria?
Well, Roy Mize had been driving without a driver's license for months and had no idea the DMV had made a mistake, so he emailed the agency and got a call right away from the director.
I was really surprised.
Roy Mize hoped for a response, but never expected it would come from the head of DMV.
2 hours later, I had a phone call from the director of the DMV.
Gene Shiamoto was on the other line after reading Roy's email. He'd gone home angry after his regular weekend trip to visit the Moffett Field Historic Museum.
The federal guard refused me entry.
For the first time in more than 15 years, he was turned away. His driver's license expired, and surprisingly, the new real ID that everyone must have to fly by 2020 was no good to NASA.
And he said they couldn't accept that, and said they have been directed not to accept real IDs without a supplementary identification.
Thing is, Roy did apply for a new real ID driver's license, and the DMV did send him a real ID, but it was just an ID, not a driver's license. Roy thinks the mistake probably happened because DMV workers were still learning how to process the new federal required IDs.
Nobody was really sure what real ID was back in January. Not
at the DMV?
At the DMV and as a citizen.
In fact, the DMV is blaming unreasonable wait times at its offices on the new ID applications. Last week, Shiamoto asked for $26 million on top of millions it already got to hire more staff. 4 days later, she was on the phone with Roy, personally admitting to him they'd made a mistake and would correct it as soon as possible.
This morning, about 10 o'clock, I got a special delivery of a temporary driver's license.
And to help expedite those long lines at DMV offices, the DMV is in the process of hiring hundreds of workers. They've also expanded their Saturday hours, and they're opening some offices earlier during the week. Alan?
You know, Maria, I just can't imagine the director of the DMV regularly picks up the phone and calls customers. So is the call because of all the complaints, the long wait times?
Yeah, so we asked for an on-camera interview. She said she was too busy to do an on-camera interview, but she did say that sometimes she gets emails from customers and she'll forward them to other DMV workers, but occasionally she will pick up the phone and email customers directly. So don't be surprised if you get a call from the director if you complain.
She wasn't too busy for Roy. Okay, Maria Medina, thanks.